Welcome back to Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Robert Burwell, and I'm also the president of the Washington 3%. Today we're going to be talking about the House budget, Washington State House budget for 2025 and 2026, and the tax proposals that they're proposing to pay for it. So this is a follow-up to the one we did on the Senate, and now that they've both passed their respective budgets and their proposed taxes, they'll go into consolidation, and if they consolidate them, they put them back out to both houses, and they pass them, then they will go to the governor's desk to be signed into law. So the Washington State House is proposing for their 2-year biennial budget, which is for 2025-2026. They're proposing a $77.8 billion budget for those 2 years. That's $5.3 billion more than the budget they had for the last 2 years, and it's $1.7 billion more than the Senate's version. Now, this is going to rely on $6.2 billion from the proposed taxes that they have in the bill. Again, these are taxes that don't exist, that they're going to pass, and they're hoping that those will make enough to raise $6.2 billion and cover the increase in the spending. Well, if it's like anything, any of the previous years, they never realize the revenue that they think they're going to with these new taxes, and so we end up running a deficit. Now, currently, they're estimating our state's deficit over the next 4 years at between $12 and $16 billion. This is the latest update I just got. Between $12 and $16 billion deficit over the next 4 years. And if these taxes that they want to pass don't cover the increase in spending, the $5.3 billion increase in spending, it's just going to add to that deficit, which, I'd say probably 80% chance that that's going to happen. They're going to increase the deficit because they have zero fiscal responsibility or accountability. They don't understand economics, and they're just running the state into the ground. But that's what Democrats do. Every state that Democrats run is in debt, and they run them into the ground. That's their pattern. And, people keep voting for them because they pay zero attention, but whatever. That's what you get when you vote for Democrats and let them take over your state. Fiscal irresponsibility and debt. That's what you get. So, here are the proposed taxes that they're putting out there, some of them. This isn't all of them. This is just some of the big hitters, the ones that will affect us the most, I think. Like the Senate, the House wants to remove the 1% per year cap on property tax that we passed in an initiative a few years ago. They want to remove that 1% per year cap, and they want to instead base the property tax raises on population growth and inflation. And they want to cap it at 3% per year like the Senate did. So they're effectively going to triple the amount your taxes can go up every year as far as the state side of that. Now, we're already suffering on the property tax front in Washington because of property values have gone through the roof in recent years, which is making everybody's property taxes just skyrocket. I know mine personally, as I've said before, have doubled in the last 3 years, And, you know, that's bad enough. You know, we're getting killed on property values going up and driving our taxes up. And now the Senate just wants to heap more on us, and the House and Senate both want to heap more on us and raise our property taxes from 1% maximum a year to 3% maximum a year. So, you know, once again, this is the Democrats caring about the middle class and the poor people by taxing us out of our homes. You know, seniors are going to be hit particularly hard. They own their home. They shouldn't have to pay taxes at all, but they're going to just keep taxing them till they tax them out of their home. But that's the Democrat way. They don't care about people. The only thing they care about is money. Specifically money for the special interest groups that get them elected. That's where they keep spending all this wasteful money, is to these little special interest groups, you know, climate, defund police, all that kind of stuff. They like to spend money with those groups because those groups are the ones that pay to get them elected. Not us people that pay our taxes. The people who are sponging off society are the ones that they answer to. And they're going to just keep taxing us into debt to keep themselves in a job. Let's see, what else are they doing? They want to add a 1% surcharge on the business and occupation tax, B&O tax, business and occupation tax, for large corporations. And they also want to increase the surcharge on financial institutions from 1.2% to 1.9%. Okay, so this is similar to what the Senate's doing with the payroll tax, except for they're just doing it on, they're just tacking the surcharge onto the B&O tax that all large corporations have to pay. Again, this is totally ridiculous. Basically, they're going to drive businesses out of this state. They're going to tax them so much that they leave Washington. And Washington will end up looking like Detroit. You know, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people will end up losing their jobs if these big corporations leave. And they're threatening to. The other day I saw a video. It was hosted by the mayor of Auburn, which has a large Boeing plant. Other mayors that were there were the mayor of Renton, who also has a large Boeing plant. You had the mayors of Bellevue and Kirkland were also there. They host, you know, Microsoft and all the tech sector jobs that are out in the Bellevue and Kirkland area, all the high tech jobs. You know, they have those in their cities, and they all came together and did a big press conference begging the Democrats in the House and Senate to not raise taxes on these large corporations, because these large corporations have contacted them and said enough is enough. If this state continues to tax us like they are, we're out. That's it, they're out. Do you know what will happen to the Puget Sound region if those large corporations leave this state? For every person that those large corporations hire, it creates 6 more jobs in the rest of the state, as far as support industries, you know, businesses that are around their factories that, you know, serve lunch and stuff, you know, stores. You know, if those large employers leave a community, it devastates the community. And these mayors are worried, and rightfully so. They're not stupid like the people that we have running our state that just want to tax businesses into oblivion because, oh, tax the rich, right? We'll just tax the big businesses. They can afford it. Well, yeah, they can afford it, but they can also afford to move. They can afford to leave the state to friendlier states that will offer them sweetheart tax deals to come move their operations to their state because they want jobs for their people. Unlike Washington, they don't want jobs for our people. They're going to cost us jobs with their ridiculous taxes. But they don't care. I'm not sure if it's they don't care or they're just that stupid. I mean, really. Do they not understand how we ended up with all the high-tech jobs in our state anyways? They used to be all down in Silicon Valley in California. That's where all the high-tech jobs were in this country. We're in the Silicon Valley in California. But what happened? In the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, California taxed the hell out of them. So they left. And they came to Washington because Washington, at the time, was a business-friendly state. But not anymore. They've already proven they'll leave if the taxes are too much. They're threatening it now. And if these morons we got running our state don't figure it out, they're going to leave. And this place will be looking like Detroit. When all the large corporations leave, it'll look like Detroit. Unemployment will go through the roof. Our economy will crash in our state, and it'll be devastating. You know, anybody who has anybody who even pays a little bit of attention to how economics work and looks at the history of what corporations do when states tax the heck out of them would know this is a dumb idea. But we, here in Washington, we elect idiots. And that's who's running the state right now. If they get their way, these large corporations are going to be gone. Let's see. What else are they doing? They want to up the capital gains tax from 7% to 9%. Now, this is on amounts of, I believe it's $250,000 or more. Any capital gains of $250,000 or more, they are already taxing you 7% of that. So, like, if, your parents die and you inherit their house and you sell it for more than $250,000, you're going to get an extra 7% tax on top of that as capital gains. And if people, rich people, they cash in stock options, things like that, they make more than $250,000 on stocks in a year, they're going to get nailed with this capital gains tax also, which they're increasing to 9%. Now, this hurts in two ways. The first way is, a lot of times people, when their parents pass away, they inherit their house and they sell it, and that gives them a nice little nest egg to retire on, something to start it up, because, right now people are having a hard time saving for retirement. So if you can sell your parents' home and put that in the bank for your retirement, then, that's a good thing. Now the state wants to tack an extra 9% tax on top of that of what you already have to pay in inheritance taxes and things like that. So they're going to keep that on top of you. Again, this is going to hurt everybody who has parents that own their own home. When they pass away and you inherit that, they're going to, they're just going to nail you on that. Cost you a bunch of money that you could use for your own retirement. The other way it hurts is, rich people, right? Everybody wants to tax the rich. Yeah, they can afford it. They can afford it. But you know what? They can afford to move too. Washington's going to start taxing them on their capital gains this much. They're going to leave the state. You know what else rich people do? They own businesses. And if they leave the state because of the capital gains stupidity, they're going to take their businesses with them. Which means fewer jobs. Again, it's going to affect, a lot of people end up losing jobs if these people pull up stakes and leave the state. Yes, rich people make a lot of money. They've worked for it, most of them. Some inherit it, but you tax the heck out of them like they want to do. They're going to leave the state. They're going to take their money with them. Their money that pays people's salaries, it runs their businesses. They're going to take it with them and go to another state. Again, this state's committing economic suicide with these taxes. And you got the idiots in Seattle cheering them on. These are all these people who have zero understanding of how the economy works. They just think, oh, they're rich and I'm not, so they need to be taxed. You know what? If you want to be rich, work. Work for it. That's how you get rich. Don't drag everybody else down to your level. Work yourself up to their level. That used to be the American dream. Right now, the American dream is to dye your hair a funny color, pierce your nose, go out and riot in the streets, and then sit sit back home on, welfare and government grants and let us pay for your college and stuff for you. Well, you live off of those of us that work for a living. But that's who they're trying to please, and they're going to destroy the state doing it. They also want to expand the definition of tobacco products to include anything that contains tobacco. So basically they're going after things like vaping products that have nicotine in them. They're going after stop smoking aids that have nicotine in them. Anything like that that has nicotine, they're going after. Now that's what they're targeting. But the way they've written this, stating anything that contains nicotine, that could be bad for people who are vegetarians. If they ever figure out that broccoli has more nicotine than tobacco does, that, under the way this is written, that could fall under the taxing it like cigarettes. Because these guys, they write bills, they write them so openly that something like that could slip through it. I doubt they'll tax broccoli, because they probably aren't smart enough to figure out that broccoli has more nicotine than tobacco. But I think it'd be funny if they did figure it out and they did tax them. Serve them right. That would really make their base happy if they start taxing their broccoli like they do cigarettes and stuff. But anyways, a sin tax on broccoli, that'd be cool. Wake up, listen up, Democrats. You can tax broccoli too under that. Do it, please. I hate broccoli. It won't affect me. So yeah, but they're going after anything with nicotine in it. Sin taxes. They like those. That won't raise much money though. And the last thing they want to tax is they want to tax your storage units. So if you rent a storage unit to go put all your extra stuff in, they're going to tax you on that every month. And I have not been able to find out what the rate is they want to tax your storage unit at. But again, this is not aimed at rich people. This is aimed at middle class and, lower income people who live in apartments and things, and they don't have room to store all their stuff, so they go rent a storage unit, and now the state's going to tax you on that storage unit. Again, the total opposite of what they say. They say they stand for the little guy, they stand for the middle class of working people. Well, this tax will go straight after them. Rich people don't rent storage units. Middle income people and poor people do. And they're going to tax you for that. So that's just some of the things that are going to affect you if the House version ends up being a majority of the combined version. But now, like I said, they are in reconciliation. The House and Senate bills are going to be merged, and they're going to decide on the budget, which would be somewhere between, what was it, $75 billion and $77.8 billion. And they're proposing all these taxes that they say is going to cover that increase, which it never does. That's why we're running a $12 to $14 billion deficit right now, is because all their taxes they proposed last time didn't cover what they think they would. And so we're running a deficit, and they're just going to increase that deficit with this stupidity, and they're going to tax us more. But what's really funny, not funny, it's unexpected, I guess, is that our wonderful new governor, Bob Ferguson, has come out and stated that he will not sign a bill for a budget that has an increase in it and that raises taxes. He stated it a couple times. When this latest House proposal hit the newspapers, he came out again and said he was not going to sign a bill that increased taxes. Now, what are the odds of that? Well, my personal opinion is sideshow. Ferguson, he I don't really trust his word. He has never stood strong on anything. He goes wherever the flow is, and I don't believe he has the intestinal fortitude to stand up to the base of his party that wants to raise taxes. I don't believe he does. I figure it's an 80% chance he signs it. Whatever they propose, I figure it's an 80% chance he signs it. Maybe a 20% chance he actually sticks to his guns and vetoes it. And if he did veto it, I will be shocked, but I will be happy, because what happens if he vetoes it is it goes back to the House and Senate, and they either need to make changes or they need to override his veto with a 2/3 vote, which they will not get. We still have enough Republicans that they can't get a 2/3 vote. So if he vetoes it, it could be good news for us. Some sanity coming back. But like I said, I don't trust Bob. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him across this room I'm in. And that remains to be seen whether he sticks to his guns or not. So we'll see in the coming days. That's all I got for you right now. And I hope you have a good rest of your evening. And give us a like and share. And we'll see you next time on Rebel Radio Behind the Wire. Good night.